Hello, welcome to this new VMC Helix Remedyforce webinar. My name is Jair Ramos, and today we are going to review how to use configuration sets to import request definitions from your sandbox to your production organization. Remember that if you have any question, please put those on the chat. We will answer those there. Let's review the agenda for today. First, we will do a quick overview about configuration sets. Then we will review a use case. Then we will check some migration specifications, and we'll do a quick troubleshooting about the migration. Let's do a quick overview. You can use configuration sets feature to import configuration from a sandbox organization to its production organization. Configuration sets comprises service requests and its underlying elements such as business services, templates, and categories. In your production organization, the configuration sets option is available on the Remedyforce administration tab under the content management tile as follows. Even if it is a beta option, this is fully supported by us, so if you have any problem or issue, remember that you can submit a ticket with us. So now let me show you where is the option. So let's go to your org, and then we have to go to the Remedyforce administration tab. Under content management, here we will see configuration sets. So let's click here, and this is the login page. So now let's review the use case. You might have a situation where you build the configuration of a request definition in your sandbox. Once you complete the testing in Sandbox, you might want to move the configuration to the production organization. Let's say that you created your request definition with a lot of inputs, and it will be a time-consuming task if you do it again on production. So configuration sets will help you to make it easier and save a lot of time. So now let's review some of the migration specifications. Following are the specifications that you should know when you're importing configuration sets from a sandbox to its production organization. General service request definitions, base elements, templates, and categories. But let me explain a little bit more each point. So the following points that we are going to review are extremely important in order to migrate request definitions using configuration sets. So let's review them. Import can be performed from production organization to sandbox only. It means that you cannot migrate the request definition from sandbox to sandbox, or from production to sandbox, or production to production. It is only from sandbox to production. So to import configuration set from Sandbox, provide the Remedyforce administrator Sandbox credentials. Note that these credentials are not safe. So it means that every time that you click on the option, you need to enter the admin Sandbox credentials. I'm going to show you that in a couple of minutes. So while importing from the Sandbox, a list of the last 50 modified request definitions that are not present in the production organization are shown. You can select and import 10 request definitions at a time. So it means that you cannot migrate more than 10 request definitions in one single action. You need to create a batch of 10 request definition and import 10 by 10. All Salesforce metadata objects or fields used in the request definition should be imported using Salesforce chain sets. Else configuration set will fail. Post-migration logs are available that provide information such as whether the records are created, updated, or reused. The information will be available as a report. So I'm going to show you as well how we can read that report. Do not use image enriched text description and instruction fields that you want to import, because that image won't be migrated. You need to add the image again on production. New request definitions are created with the values of status and online, same as what is in the sandbox. Imported request definitions are entitled only to the Remedyforce administrator permission set user. Administrator must review all the information, all the Remedyforce metadata like category, templates, and service request, and then update the entitlement of the service request and also that of important templates. So settings such as submit for approval, mobile, price, and quantity are the same as they were configured in the Sandbox organization. I'm going to show you also how you can check that information. For selected request definition, existing service request and service offering should be related in the production organization. Otherwise, the import will fail. So for base elements, while migrating base elements, the service hour field If set in the production organization, is set only if the business hour is present in the production organization. Records for model, location, and primary client or users are not imported in the production organization, and they are not linked to the base element record. While migrating base elements data to the production organization, following fields with user reference are not imported: primary client, supported by, and service owner. For an important base element, if the CNDB class does not exist, the production organization by default is set to base element. For example, if a custom class instances are imported to service or configuration items fields under the incident task or change request templates, and these templates have been used in a request definition created in their Sandbox organization, then after this request definition is migrated to your production organization, these custom class instances will be renamed on their BMC base element. The administrator needs to associate primary client, supported by, and service owner on the important base elements after the migration. So the most important point on their templates will be for the selected request definitions. If templates and the linking templates exist in the production organization, but the linking record does not exist, then the import will fail. So remember that this is extremely important to review all these points, because probably you won't understand why some data is not being imported after you use configuration sets. So under categories, in the production organization, any existing data set for category is not modified. For category, applies to information is updated for request definitions. If an urgency which is associated with a category already exists in the production organization, it is reused. Else, it is not created, if not present in the production organization. Existing templates of the selected request definitions are updated so that they apply to the service request if not applied. So let's review some of the metadata that is not imported. Any image that contains request definition icons, category icon, and rich text box field images. So you need to add those images again after the migration on your production organization. For self-service and Remedyforce console, the account selection in the entitlement section is not imported and will be blank. It means that you need to go as an admin and update the entitlements after the import. Fulfillment inputs on custom lookup fields, lookup filters. I'm going to show you how it looks like after the migration, some of the lookup filters. Impact, urgency, account, and status fields. Base elements fields such as primary client, supported by, and service owner, Salesforce metadata, fulfillment criteria, CMDB. So now we are good to proceed and check the demo. So let's review that. So now I'm going to show you how we can use configuration sets to import the request definition from Sandbox to production. But first, I would like to show you the current configuration that I have in my Sandbox org. So now I'm logging into my Sandbox org. As you can see here, let's go to Remedyforce administration and let's go to request definitions. It is under configure application. And here I have two request definition in my org. The one that I'm going to migrate is this one, request a new laptop. As you can see here, I have fulfilled the title, the category. I created a service offering, also both templates, and I have these two checkboxes checked. And here you can see the image. I don't have an image right now, but if you have an image, this one won't be migrated. Okay, so now let's go to the input section. So here, as you can see, I have 4 different prompt questions. For example, category, it's a lookup to the category object, and it has a custom filter, and this custom filter won't be migrated. Just keep in mind that, and you will need to add it again on production. And I have this conditional field as well, and let me click save, cancel, and let's review the fulfillment section. So here I don't have any fulfillment right now, so let's add a new one, and let's put everything on the description field. Let's go and find description, and let's add all the fields, all the inputs that I have in my request definition. Let's click add, and I'm going to click save. Just to let you know, I have a webinar that I did a couple of months ago about request definition, so feel free to watch it. It is on our YouTube channel, so you will know how to create request definitions like a pro. So now let's move on and let's go to the display options tab. You can see that I have selected some of the checkboxes here, and now let's go to the entitlement section. Remember that this section won't be migrated. You need to add this again on production after you complete with the migration. And also the section below won't be migrated. By default, you will see the Remedyforce administrator permission set. So now let's review in the production org that the request definition that I have on my sandbox does not exist. Request a new laptop. So let's go to request definitions and let's make sure that I don't have the request a new laptop here. So as you can see, there is no request a new laptop request definition on my production yet. So now we are ready to do the migration. So let's go to content management, and here you will see that you need to put the admin credentials. You need to specify the sandbox. Probably you have more than one sandbox. That's the reason you need to put the sandbox name, because probably you have multiple sandboxes, and you need to put the password for that specific sandbox. Let's click login, and as you can see, we are ready to select and import all request definitions. Here you will see the list of the request definition that I have on that sandbox. You don't see the other one that I had test because that one is already migrated to production. So now let's click the checkbox and we can click import. The import will take a couple of minutes. It depends on how many you selected. Remember that you can select up to 10 request definition. Okay, it was imported. It was pretty fast. So now I would like to show you some of the post-migration tasks. We will do a quick review. We will check the logs and we will learn more about some of the known limitation for this feature. So let's start reviewing the logs. Here, after the import was successful, you will see the link to view the logs, and it will redirect you to the reports tab. So here on the reports tab, you will see each of the request definition that you imported. Here you can see that everything was successful. All the categories, base elements, templates, and request definitions, everything was successful. You can see that we imported all these records. You can see on the operation created. So basically those records didn't exist in our production org. If, for example, if the category laptop was already on our production org, we will see a different operator that it was already there in our production org. Also, if you see any error message, we will see those on the report. But basically, as you can see, everything was successful. So here are some of the post-migration tasks. First, review the import logs using the view log link. So basically that's what we did. We checked the report and everything was good there. And then on the production organization, verify and imported request definition. Okay, so we haven't done that yet, so let's go to our production org and review the request definition and see if it was migrated successfully. So let's go to request definition and let me refresh this view. So let's find the request definition. It should be request a new laptop, and here is. So let's select request a new laptop. And let's review the data that is here. As you can see, the title looks great. The category was created. We saw that on the report. The service offering, both templates. You can see that these checkboxes also are the ones that I selected on Sandbox. One thing that I would recommend you is that you can go to the template and see if the information that has the template matches of what you have on your Sandbox org. And now let's go to input. You can see that I have some inputs here, the same ones that I had on Sandbox. And let's open category. As you can see, as I mentioned, the filter won't be migrated. You need to do the filter again here on production. And let's review if the conditionals were migrated. Okay, let me just click close pretty quick. Click yes, and let me open again just to see if it was migrated. So here, let me click display if, and perfectly, it looks great. That's the same conditional that I have on Sandbox. Now let's go to fulfillment. Fulfillment looks great. All the data is there. And display options, the same selection that I have on Sandbox. It looks great. And as you can see here, this is the section where the admin needs to go and update here based on the accounts. As you can see, on Sandbox, I had the client permission set, and here I have the Remedyforce administrator as per the documentation. It is working as designed. This is something that the admin needs to change manually after the migration. So let's give checking the post-migration task. We need to review all the Remedyforce metadata like category, templates, and services, and then we need to update the entitlement of important request definitions on the production organization. By default, it's set to Remedyforce administrator permission set. We already confirmed that, and that's something that we need to update, the entitlement section, as we need and as per our design. Update entitlements for important templates. By default, important templates are available for any profile. So that's something that we need to also check in production organization. Basically, here you can see a table based on the object or model and the things that you need to check for each model. Basically, you need to check the images and some of the data that we already checked at the beginning of this webinar, some of the data that is not being imported. So this is a section dedicated for the base element, basically for the service and service offering that we created and we imported. So we need to review all this data in order to complete our migration. It won't take too much time, and actually you need to do it just once and the import will be completely done. So let's quickly review some of the known limitations. Salesforce metadata is not being imported from a Sandbox. We already reviewed all the metadata that is not being imported, and we need to check and verify after the migration. For migration, a maximum of the last top 50 modified request definitions that are not present on the production organization are shown, but you can select and import only 10 request definitions at a time. So this is extremely important to remember. You can only import batches of 10 request definitions. So if you have 20, you need to import 10 first and then the other 10. Okay, so records for model, location, primary client, or users will not be imported to production organization and will not be linked to the base element record. Lookup filters, custom objects, or fields will not be imported to the production organization. I already showed you that the lookup filter that I had in my request definition was not imported. That's something that you need to go and add manually. Image, such as request definition icons, category icons, or rich text box images will not be migrated. So you need to add those images again manually after the migration. Here's the link where you can get more information about configuration sets. So basically on this webinar we'll review that using configuration sets is a simple task. It is like 2-3 step process, and it will save you a lot of time. Basically we saw some of the migration specification, the data that is being imported, the data that is not being imported, and some of the migration tasks that you need to perform after the migration in order to complete the migration and you have your service request up and running in your production org. Remember that this is a feature that is fully supported by BMC, so if you have any problem or thought, please feel free to open a case with support. Remember that this webinar is going to be available on our YouTube channel after this session. Remember that if you have any question or problem with the product, please feel free to contact technical support. You can do it via web, phone, or email. Remember to follow us on all our social media, BMC communities, Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching this webinar about how to use configuration sets in order to import request definition from your sandbox to your production organization. Stay tuned for the next one.